Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the best Zerg player this side of the Atlantic in the red. It's Scarlet, up against the best Terran from the United States of America. In the blue, we have Future, a best of 5 Terran versus Zerg, an all-NA showdown, which means it's going to be unpredictable and usually entertaining. Hopefully, like this channel, especially after you like, and if you haven't made it there yet, maybe subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? Yes, NA counts. 1,344 likes on this video, on this cast, in this series. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better as we're starting things off on Post-Youth. No, not an accusation, but the name of our first map. And what is this? Future. Usually a proxy starport is for a hellion drop, which makes a lot of sense on this map where you have a tendency to really just macro up for the first 4 or 5 minutes, as we've seen. Future is actively denying Overlord scouts. He goes for a Viking. Proxying a Viking is certainly one of the plays you can make. A Liberator to follow it up. Looks like Future going to go for a big Hellion run-by attack, entirely relying on catching Scarlet off guard, and then combining with a Liberator. But the Viking kind of telegraphs this move. Wow, she knows. Wow. Scarlet read this like a book. Like she wrote the book, indeed. Like, that Viking is incredibly suspicious coming in from that angle. The Hellions haven't been spotted yet. The Queens are moving out. The Hellions are right there. And now with the Liberator coming in, Future... Hellions get by. There aren't that many links to deal with this. Scarlet possibly underestimated the magnitude of Hellions, but the Evo Chamber block is really good and delays the Hellions even further. The drones themselves are able to hold down the rest. 6 kills. What about the Liberator? Forget about it. All right. So, for 8 Hellions and a Liberator, Future managed to kill 6 drones and 15 Zerglings. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but thankfully the game does it for me. Yeah, that was not... Actually, the numbers are kind of similar there, but... Okay, now you're just going to have to trust me. That was not worth it at all. Future gave up map control. His starport is flying across the map. He's going to get... Actually, that Overlord is so far close to the edge of the map, the shift click didn't find it. But losing map control, losing any opportunity to really follow up and kill any drones, not being able to deny the creep spread, bad news bears for the American in game number 1. And even gets his reactored starport delayed because he was too lazy to make it back to the high ground. I get it. Trying to save a few more seconds, but so far, all the seconds are going in favor of Scarlet. We'll just have to see if in the future he's able to take advantage of it. Okay. Scarlet with a comfortable defense. I have a feeling Future has tried things like that before on the ladder. Maybe not commonly, but enough so that Scarlet immediately realized what she was looking at. The moment the Viking showed up, the Viking just telegraphed it. Even though you deny scouting information, the Viking... Susan, why are we going this way? You know the map doesn't account for creep. The game engine is too old and too complicated to... Shut up, Karen. Shut up. It's game 1. We're not doing this right now. I know. Well, the Queen's already well over halfway across the map. Yes, it is the shortest rush distance between the third bases, but the fact that Future has to scan just to get rid of the creep here, it's a rough start indeed. Scarlet with a dozen Hydras. Groovy spawns on the way. 1-1 upgrades across the board. Terran and Zerg finishing up. Muscular Augments is already in production. Scarlet not slacking on anything right now, and she has the economy to easily overwhelm any sort of army Future sends out that doesn't involve well, pretty much everything he can bring to the table. 69 to 92 army supply does not make a nice position for the Terran. Though, Future going, you can't just sit back. You can't let the Zerg take the entire map. Scarlet's already gotten 2/3 of the way across. Future smartly trying to challenge it, but running the risk. And here comes Scarlet from the north side as well. The Zerglings on top of the tanks. Banelings and siege tanks don't know which way to shoot. Banelings are closing in, not able to get the target fire, and that means the Marines will be melted. The Hydras run out of targets to pincushion with their spines, and the Queens even going to survive the fray. A comfortable victory for Scarlet. And now a 70 supply gap has opened up. Infest, the only saving grace for Future is that Scarlet didn't have a hive particularly quick. Only now is the infestation pit finishing up. But 23 Banelings. She's going for the killing blow. Not gonna wait for any sort of hive tech. Not gonna bother trying to deny a fourth. Not when the kill. Oh, and Dropper Lord's on the way as well. Is she gonna drop Banelings on top of the Marines? Or is this just going towards the main? We'll see. A strong wall on the southern border of the American player's base. But the armory is broken through, and with it... Oh no, it's gonna burn! With +1 mech weapons denied. Just bleeding out. Scarlet decides against an all-out attack, at least for now, before Hive starts. And, well, ranged attack level 1 is about to complete. So if there was a timing to go. Yeah. 4 Overlords loaded up. Operation Overlord looking to create a beachhead in the Terran base. And there's really nothing there to defend. The engineering bays are vulnerable, but Future should be able to complete +2/+2 just barely in time. The drops come in. Scarlet also hitting the 4th base simultaneously. Future has to be incredibly careful where he partitions his army. But he does have +2/+2 done, compared to the not even +2 carapace of Scarlet. So that means those Marines loaded up, come back, clean up the drop, but Scarlet has the map. Oh my god. It's 10 minutes. And Future is no pushover. He got off to a rough start, but I think we're used to seeing Scarlet up against players like Beyond and Clem. Anyone against Clem. Even Cyril struggles to get the creep spread out there, but now Scarlet off the leash. The Queen's at the front doorstep. Another drop comes in towards the main. The Lings are raining in. The SCVs are taken out. Vipers. Adrenal glands, +2 melee and ranged attack, but a good angle for Future, able to take out the vast majority of the Banelings before they can close the distance. The creep is just oppressive at the moment. Another 32 Banelings for Scarlet. A gratuitous number of Banelings. And triple hatches. I think 1-2 macro hatches, 1 expansion up to the north side. As the creep has almost extended to the top of the map. Now coming in again. The armory in position was replaced. Still no +1 mech weapons. In fact, that attack reminds Future to start it. The drops are coming in again. Wave 3, but this time the ghosts. Ah! Future's ready. But, oh my, let's go to the Future cam. Oh no! Oh, that is terrifying right there. Scarlet has 100 Zerglings, 36 Banelings. Future actually killing one of his own siege tanks. I'm not sure if that was friendly fire or just a misclick. Another wave coming in. The ghosts don't quite get the snipes off in time. There they are. Knocks out one of the Obies, gets a second full of Zerglings. And Future has enough supply. He has an army now. Scarlet has every other piece of the map. But Future's managed to get to 180 supply, and in fact now has more army supply than Scarlet can even get. As the Banelings are rolling in again. The siege tanks taking a heavy toll on the Baneling count. Future once again. Oh no. Did he notice the burrowed Banes? Like 84% sure there. Just doesn't have any scans to deal with it, so starts building a missile turret for detection. Another wave. Binding Cloud just on a couple tanks. Another really rough angle for the Banelings. But Scarlet isn't particularly... Cost efficiency is not so important as making sure Future both feels the pressure of the constant Zerg waves, as well as denying a fourth base. Really, that's more important. But the emotional damage cannot be understated. Future knows how bad this position is, but there is a chance that Scarlet takes such a terrible fight. It's happened before. I'm sure it'll happen again. Wow, that SCV is having an absolute breakdown. But if Scarlet takes a horrible enough fight, I'm talking absolutely atrocious, then there's a chance that the Terran army can come across the map with a critical mass of bio with ghosts and just can't be beaten again. Now that's unlikely, but here comes Scarlet with another wave. So many Banelings rolling in. The orbital almost dead. It dies on the field. Doesn't even get lifted. As Scarlet, another 90 lings loaded up. That was the main orbital. That was not a new one. The main survived this entire time, landed at the 4th, and Scarlet summarily executed it. Another wave of Banelings. Even the Queens on the front line. Binding Cloud's helpful. More Zerglings into the 3rd. The SCV count is dipping. Already precariously low. Scarlet is 2 bases away. I guess the gold base also is there, but... I mean... Ghost cloaking. That could be helpful. Future making a play for it. Over 100 army supply. It's not going to get any better than this. Plenty of ghosts, even a Thor in the mix here. The army composition. The only problem is he can't replace any of it and isn't even maxed out. Still enough siege tanks to put together a strong push. Doesn't have the scans to deal with the creep. There are 5 Broodlords on the way, which, just to muddy the waters, helpful against the siege tanks. Not so helpful. Oh no, the ghosts, there's no detection. Gonna have to manually detonate Banelings in order to detect the ghosts. The Broodlords, raining down Broodlings here. The ghosts are actually closing in. Future doesn't want to risk it. The Zerglings, though, what little economy that Future has left. +3 melee attack now done on the ground. Hydra's Lings and Banes closing in. Thor picked up. Tucks its little Thor legs. Well, actually very large Thor legs, but just in comparison to the rest of it. Future at 19 SCVs. Scarlet at 90 drones. The siege tanks now helping, or hurting as much as helping. 82 more Zerglings in production. Infestors. Doesn't quite nail the fungal. Down goes the Thor. Still enough energy on that Infestor. The Ghosts. Still a threat. Future making a lot happen here with this last army. This army has no future, but Future has this. Needs an EMP. With an EMP, maybe. The fungal's on the back line. The Banelings are just trying to roll through. They're closing the distance onto the Ghosts, which aren't particularly vulnerable, but it's a numbers game. And they don't add up right now. And that's the one. The fungal, that seals the deal. Game number 1 will go convincingly to Scarlet, despite 12,000 more minerals lost and 3,000 more gas. When you have 3 times as many bases, those are losses you could afford several times over. I think Future just stumbled out of the starting block there. The Hellions, a clever idea that almost worked out. The Liberator, not as much, but still able to catch Scarlet somewhat off guard. But Scarlet recovered quickly and really never lost control of the game there. Though a bit dangerous. I will say that it got even close near the end. Scarlet unable to break him until he's able to move out on the map. Future does not seem interested in putting his buildings all in his main base for this series, as it is a middle of the map proxy Reaper. But this is not the ladder. It's not even that much closer. It's going to be like another 5-10 seconds, maybe enough to kill a drone. The bunker is on the... Okay, well, all right, it's gonna be a bunker. Sure, why not? The drones are pulled. Scarlet taking it very seriously. Just transferring more down. Now the Overlord has spotted the gas. So it could be 2 racks, but once the rings are out, I'm not entirely sure what Future expects this to accomplish. Again, I'm left scratching my head just a little bit, because, well, this is one of those builds that might work against everyone but the top, like, 4 GMs. You just get an edge and work with it. But Scarlet does not overreact. In fact, she lost nothing. Shuts down the bunker. And now, well, this is a bit awkward. This is bullying. Calm down, Brenda. You're okay. You'll be fine. Why do they heal faster than Zerg? How is that fair? You got a good point. You're out of line. You're right. But you're out of line. And it... Scarlet with a quick lair. Probably looking to exploit the just lack of follow-up that's usually tied to builds like this. The barracks is not in the base to build add-ons. So that slows down the rest of the build. The Hellion follow-up, anything like that. And also this map, it's difficult to take a third for Zerg. Which means, well, Future really relying on that sort of control. And Scarlet, I think, realizing, opts for the lair quickly. And will just be putting on some 2-base pressure, as opposed to desperately trying to get a third and getting constantly bullied by the Reapers. Banshee with cloak. Oh my. Reaper's really getting a lot of bullying in there. The grenades, the Brenda bounces all over the place. No Zergling speed, but the Roach Warren's done. Scarlet actually a bit supply blocked. Starts Overlord speed. Is this going to be a German taxi build? Well. What? The Reaper grenades are incredibly annoying, but not deadly. Not since Beyond got them nerfed. Both in damage and cooldown at separate points. More roaches on the way. Oh my god, wait, what? It's a soul scroll. Well, it could be both. There is no Evo chamber, though. Hey, you don't need an Evo chamber. That was back in the day. Scarlet is the one who got the Dropper Lords nerfed. Well, it was a team effort from the Zerg Cabal, but Scarlet definitely had a lot of success with the Evo chamber Overlords. But indeed, the Overlords with speed now dropping creep for the Queens. And putting a Dropper Lord together as well. The chauffeur. Now, Cloak Banshee is on the way. So one of those overlords is probably going to want to morph to an overseer in this particular case. Are we going to see the queen drop chasing down the Cloak Banshees? Alright, the overseer's coming back home to chase. I'm hoping, upon hope, for the ultimate chase, which is queens and the dropper lords essentially reaching out the window, pop it out, throwing a few knitting needles, then popping back in before the banshees can take them out. But what I'm actually seeing is a banshee just died of the queens at the bait. And suddenly, the queens are at the front. We've arrived! It's just me and you, Susan, but we'll just make a big effort out there. So only 2 queens, but the creep spread begins triple tank on the high ground. Future has been preparing either for a push or to defend something like this. Scarlet wasn't particularly focused on hiding it. So not surprising that Future has the tanks already ready, but Roach Ravager breaking through the front lines. Future about to be supply blocked as the supply depots go down to the front, creating a bit of an awkward situation. That third hatchery just now coming up. Such a low economy game to start. The Vikings zoning out, but now Scarlet creep spread on both sides of the map. Back creeping now, which is considered to be a bit of a dick move in most cultures, but in this particular case, well, the Terran started it. As Future started this with a bunker rush and the constant Reaper Hellion. So now it's Scarlet's turn to set up a contain at the natural. Spray and pray with the corrosive bile, but the tanks are able to push back. Roach Ravager doesn't have any upgrades here, so particularly vulnerable to the siege tanks. There's still the 2 queens to deal with the Banshee. Banshee really needs a repair. The Terran's notoriously stingy about repairing those things. And it'll cost him. Well, actually, no. Wait, the Banshee lives. How does the Banshee live? The tank gets taken out. The changelings are trickling across, but Future cleans it up. And Scarlet will be forced back. And the quick... We'll get there. Even more than... No, that... Never again am I going outside. I feel that. And that... Still some creep, as Future also struggled to take his third. Roach drop coming in. The Viking will deny it. Overlord's in position. Infestors on the way, particularly early. And they will pop out with a fungal ready. A scan spots the infestors, but Future does have quite a tank push put together here. No combat shield on the Marines means they're quite vulnerable to the infestors. And there's a catch, but a triple shot. Not quite landing the Ravager corrosive biles, and that means the siege tanks all survived the initial wave. 1-1 is now done, though. Going to be a big game changer in this particular engagement. Still a painful fight for both sides, but finally the tanks will be taken out. One of the medevacs is taken down, and Future is knocked down to 106 versus 108 supply. But he does have a third. How many barracks up? 5 barracks are completed with add-ons ready to go. So a full set of production. Scarlet, though, just finished up her 4th base and has 79. Okay, that's a bit much. The number kept going up as I was finishing the sentence, which is always a little concerning. The Viking hunting for overlords. Overlords providing them with something to look at. Well, you can't stop now. There's no going back. The Dropper Lord coming in. The roaches pop out. Probably the least dangerous thing that could have popped out of there. The Marauders microing back as Scarlet winding up for an attack on the 3rd. Might be able to delay the 4th command center, which is in a precarious position. Whips out the corrosive biles. Zerglings coming in, just something to put in front of the Roach Ravagers. The Marauder count has climbed dramatically. 13 Marauders and only 10 Marines. Roosevelt almost hitting the Zerglings as well. Infestor eats a tank shot. And fills up pretty easily. Hive is on the way. Burrow. +2 ranged attack and Carapace. Again, Scarlet with a comfortable position, but I would say Future much better off than the previous game, as Scarlet doesn't have creep over like 80% of the map, and she doesn't have such a bank or hive tech that she can just constantly send waves of attacks. Has to be a little circumspect about it here, as the Roach Ravager army is not particularly hard to replace, but if it fails in an attack, Future will have an army that can come rolling across the map. Especially if you're reliant on rebuilding this one. That's why there's Ultras. There's Adrenal Glands on the way. +2 ranged attack and Carapace are about to complete, but Scarlet just goes for it. The Fungal comes through. Corrosive Biles finish off a whole bunch of the bio. 2-2 upgrades across the board. But the Ultralisk Cavern is going to be absolutely key here. Is it? I say that like I said that out of just on autopilot commentary. But I'm looking at it. It's helpful, but it's definitely not the key that unlocks the victory. Not against someone who has 15 Marauders and 5 siege tanks that do have +1 mech weapons and is building 2 more tanks at a time. So the Ultras are actually possibly a way to throw the game as opposed to win it in this particular case. The Vipers, on the other hand, amazing, incredible, no notes. A single Zergling will deny the entirety of the base. It's too cute to land on. It just is, as you know. Finally, a Marauder. The SCVs could have done it, but that's why we have the army. But Future has snuck up to 180 supply. 3 Ultras on the way. Chitin is plating. Almost halfway done. Corrosive Biles knock out another tank. But, well, the Roach Ravager. Ooh, those tank shots really landing. And now Future, but the Zerglings before the planetary. And another Zergling is burrowed. Who knows how long it'll take to dislodge that one. Future feeling the pressure here. Not coming back to deal with the counterattack, but instead pushing forward. Realizing there's a reason Scarlet hasn't really committed. And it's very likely because tech is on the way, but it's already too late. The Vipers are on the field with plenty of energy. They drank their Red Bulls, consumed their hatcheries. Did Scarlet consume a hatch? Of course she did. Alright, one of my pet peeves. Just build an extra Evo chamber. Maybe 2. Okay, a little sippy cup for the Vipers. If I see another player lose their hatchery because they did like 75% of damage to it with their Vipers, I will be not upset, disappointed. Worse. At this point, Future knows what he's dealing with, but kind of locked into the tank Marauder composition. Is there even a Ghost Academy? There is. No ghosts on the field. Scarlet, there really aren't that many bases on this map, but beautiful blinding clouds. The tanks can't see anything, and the Marauders aren't much better off as the Banelings roll in towards the third. Future just a little slow on pulling the SCVs back, and we'll end up losing a whole bunch of them. And the critical mass. Oh, Scarlet just pulls the blinding cloud over the eyes of the entire army. It allows the Ultras and Banelings to cleave and roll through. And just like that, Scarlet goes from a tenuous to a commanding position. Even the Queens came back around. Game 2 is looking very much in doubt for the American Terran. Especially as more Banelings kill even Marauders. 28 SCVs dead. The Zerg keep rolling across the map. And Scarlet goes out to a 2-0 lead, which stresses me out because the last couple times I've seen Scarlet with a 2-0 lead, there were no more Scarlet victories in a best of 5. So those are always tough. But so far, Future is definitely the player more intimidated. These proxies have been ambitious, is the most generous way I think I could phrase it. So we'll see on Oceanborn, probably the most comfortable of Terran versus Zerg maps that likely made it through the veto process. Game number 3, Scarlet on match point. But Future showing that he can hang with her. Just not quite to the end. I think we're a bit spoiled by Clem and players like Clem, which is no one, but players close enough to Clem. Expecting the actual pixel-perfect micro in the late game when handling even one fight is still a titanic task against a Zerg army like that. The Roach Ravager Baneling, the source of the F2 A-move complaints, even though almost no Zerg is actually A-moving their Banelings. I could talk for, not days, probably not hours, but at least like 30 to 45 minutes about Baneling micro. And I'll tell you, the very short summary, the one-sentence summary, is no Zerg is A-moving their Banes. Okay? That wastes plenty of HP, which has been nerfed, thanks, Cyril, but that you could be using to shield for your other units and maximize your effectiveness. Queen bounce to the side, doesn't quite get the tomb. What the details are important. And now we'll see. Future with no buildings outside of his half the map. Scarlet with a quick 3 base. A delayed speed, which, if Future recognizes this, may very well decide to run by with the Hellions. That is the current flavor of the... Well, not... Flavor of the month, really. But it is a risk, as we already saw, to run by with the Hellions. But just a couple Hellions and a Reaper, not like 12 Hellions you were sitting in your base hiding. So we'll see. There will be a slight opportunity. The Queens guarding their territory. And the Hellions. Well, the Queens just leave it wide open, so... yeah, 2 more. 3 kills. Not bad, 4 kills. Honestly, 5 kills for the first 2 Hellions and dragging the Queens back. Can't really complain. Queens a bit far out, not tending to their flock as well as you might expect. And Scarlet's actually a bit supply block. The Viking again. Future very adamant about those Vikings. And I think it pays. I think it's almost always worth it. Like, the Viking pays for itself. It gets the info. The question is the opportunity cost of whether you want to go Banshee, as 1 to 2 Banshees can be in a menace to the Zerg and have won games on their own before. But denying this information and even slowing down the economy by killing overlords is also... It's a more consistent move than constant Banshee micro as well. God, the creep spread already started out as when you run by with the Hellions. Well, you'll probably lose the Hellions, which means less creep spread. Or less ability to deny the creep spread. 5 gases on the way simultaneously for Scarlet. Well, here we go. Now, what does that mean? Honestly, Mutas? I don't think... There's no Roach for it, so... It's either Mutas or the quickest Hive Rush. Alongside those upgrades. Ranged attack. And Carapace with a Hydra Den. Just mass Hydra? I don't know. Either way, she has 67 drones, so I guess she could do as much... get as much gas as she wants. It's... Oh, it's the mass Hydra build! Oh. It seems almost map dependent. The last time I saw Scarlet do this style. It was on this map as well. There's something about it. I guess you can more comfortably get to the Hydras. And then you can't really go Ling Bane in the late game reliably the way you can on some other maps like Ghost River. So it's just too easy to defend the 4th. Too much distance between it. The checkerboard depots there. The Hydras are in production. This is the most dangerous moment, at least for the near future. This first attack coming across. Scarlet's not going to have any upgrades. And she's not going to have the range, the groove spines. Few Zerglings come in towards the 3rd. Combat shield is done. Tanks landing. Gets a couple SCVs. But the Queen's gathering up. If Scarlet's able to get 1-1 done, I think she's much more comfortable against this sort of tank timing. Because the Marines fire so quickly. The Carapace upgrade, incredibly important. And then, of course, ranged attack to get through the medevacs as quickly as possible. Rather, well, either targeting the medevacs or just keeping them from healing up the Marines. Scarlet's creep is now already on the platform of Future's base. It's just Hydras. Now 1 Infestor in production. She just gonna transfuse us? Now the tanks are maybe a bit much, but Hydra's in such numbers. This isn't Brood War. Those queens, they can't fly. You don't have to rub it in. I don't. But the transfuse, I would argue, is actually... I would like Parasite from Brood War. And of course, Spawn Broodling was quite good. Ensnare. Okay, well, the Brood War Queen pretty good as well. Has its own strengths, but... +2/+2 on the way. Future, not overcommitting. Still just holding down with the tanks. Trying to bait Scarlet into a mediocre fight. And from there, gain some momentum back. Scarlet's at 94 drones. Single siege tank, Hellbats to help protect. Targets the Infestor, but doesn't quite get it. Takes 2 hits from the tanks. Marines, a fungal thrown out, off the mark. Marines still holding. The tank still in position. Future on the cusp of overstaying his welcome. The tanks, and now more and more Hydras coming down. Future just going to try to take as good a trade as possible. Ends up getting, in the last set of fights, 12 Hydras, 30 Langs for 3 siege tanks, 4 Hellbats, 15 Marines, and a medevac. About an even trade across the board. But Scarlet has a hive on the way. She's got more upgrades. She's got like an entire oncology department of tumors across the board queued up. And Vipers have joined production, as well as Baneling Speed to fill in something for the front line. Lurker spines. Lurker range, rather. Seismic spines. Adrenal glands. Well, just started off. Already ghosts on the way. Oh, sneaky tank. Hiding in the little seaweed or whatever it is there. Baneling speed. Everything. Well, both sides are able to get pretty much everything they want. Future's at 82 SCVs. Got 4 bases. Scarlet trying to take some trades here. Fungal looking pretty good. And Future gets battered back. The creep. Some Hydras to the left. Trying to help push out the creep some just a little bit further. Baneling speed completed. Nidus. Okay, what don't we have yet? Nidus, Spire. Where's the Ultralisk Cavern? I think the Lurkers and Banelings are covering the splash damage department for now, but 6 command centers on the way for future, which, well, that should keep them set for a while. As an orbital and a... Is that a planetary or just another orbital? Just creating those choke points. Nidus Lurkers queued up. Though, not sure if there's any way for vision into the main. Future has a Viking and then a medevac out of solidarity. I'm not sure what the medevac's doing up there, but now we're getting dragged into the late game. And this time around, Future, already with Ghosts in production, has plenty of command centers. It's gonna be up to Scarlet to actually break this supreme late game Terran. Yanks out a tank. Parasitic Bomb takes out the Viking immediately. Great fungal on the backline, but the medevacs will heal it up before any Hydras, Lings, or Banes are able to close the distance. And the Viking moved from its post. And now, Future may very well regret that. There's pretty much nothing in the main. A Nidus could be devastating. Oh, the Ghost spots it. All right. Knowing that a very likely late-game tactic, that Nidus Lurker, can end the game on its own. The amount of time it takes to dislodge a dozen Lurkers from your main is usually too much. Scarlet now grabbing the map. The creep continues. The Nidus at the back, but a siege tank in position. There's a couple Vikings on the way. Scarlet has made her Spire great again. Working towards Broodlords, though. Broodlords still... It's a bit early. I know it sounds weird, but you want to really bait them into an entrenched position and then do a big Broodlord switch to knock it out. We did see a handful of Broods in the previous match, but or in Game 1. But that was mostly just to dislodge the final army as opposed to being an even money game. And now Future, working on a fusion core. Though, almost certainly for advanced ballistics, but still. High-sec auto-tracking building armor as we settle in the Lurkers, slicing through the turrets. Nidus at the natural. Scarlet finally found an angle. Oh. Yeah, it looks like Future is obtuse at the moment. The Vikings. Oh, here comes the entire Biowar. Oh, no. Possibly a select all army there. As essentially everything that wasn't tied down came running back. Another Nidus. Scarlet just throwing him out. She has the economy to do so. Up to 8,000 minerals in the bank. The Lurkers slashing through. Oh my god, what's going on with that Lurker? One of the Lurkers was trying to jam itself in but couldn't quite find a spot, and it was very upset about it. And yanks in the tanks. And a Ghost for good measure. Ghost trying to get the EMPs, but get eviscerated before they can get anything else. The Vipers will go down, but the Nidus is spotted. The Lurkers, Stunner stepping past, pops back into the Nidus. Turns it into an escape Nidus instantly. Scarlet is now mining from Future's side of the map. She's got both corners and is building up that mineral bank. Now, Blue Flame. Blue Flame for potentially Hellbats. And advanced ballistics on the way for Liberators. 8 Broodlords in production. Ten Broodlords. Meanwhile, she's done it. She baited Future into really focusing on the tanks. She has not shown a singular Corruptor. She did not show the Spire or anything like it. So Future now has 13 siege tanks, none of which will do anything but hurt against the Broodlords. So this Broodlord shift is potentially deadly. It's gonna take some time to work its way through. But, that time is closely approaching. 3 Thors in production. I don't know if you even want to siege up those tanks. It's a bit of a questionable decision. You need the tanks to zone out the ground army, but also if you don't target fire, they can easily get taken out by the broods or used against you. Down goes the command center. A single Viking. There's only 1 corruptor left for Scarlet. The queens will handle the anti-air. Got a lot of damage. There's no plating upgrades right now for Future. So his mech units are particularly vulnerable. Another Nidus up to the north side. The Bio Army. Medevac's almost out of energy. I don't know if that's going to be the problem, though, as the banlings come in. Scarlet now. Another line of creep tumors. And a fungal! The infestor was waiting. Gets taken out, but another fungal knocks out a Medevac with all hands. The queens just walked through the very center. They'll be fine. They made it. More drones. 12,000 minerals in the bank. Future no slouch. He's got 4K, 3K. And didn't end up taking critical damage from the Broodlords. In fact, the Broodlords didn't do much more than force a tech switch. Is there neural parasite for the infestors? Because once the Thor count gets high enough, the best tactic to counter the Thors is to borrow some Thors. Actually, a little surprised it didn't get added to the production tab at some point, but I'm imagining as soon as Scarlet sees the number of Thors is when neural parasite will become a very real probability. The Lurkers, more than enough. Siege tank's gonna have trouble closing the distance and time. The Liberators, one of the two. The siege tank push. Obliterating anything that gets close, but the Broodlords are coming down. Actually up the center, working on a planetary, raining down. 1-1 is done for the Broods. Future moving into position. Choose up another tank. But so much money in the bank right now. The Liberators, a Venn diagram of freedom. Working through the Hydras. Still the ghost count staying together. More corruptors on the way. Future missing out on a lot of those mech upgrades. Unfortunately doesn't have them in production, but his army composition looking very good right now. Does he not have Ghost Cloak? Oh my. A lot of those upgrades missing with cloaking. There's no detection here. Blinding Cloud. Hydras will clean up the siege tanks, but the ghosts actually all died to the Broodlords. The Thors are here. There's a spawning pool. Wait, what? There's a spawning pool on the way. Okay, there's the neural parasite as the Thor count is fully revealed. Why not? Maybe for consumption. I don't think spawning pools are that much more HP. That's an odd one. Maybe a misclick spine. Either way, let's not think about it too much. Let's think more about this mech push. The Lurkers are chipping away at the planetary to the north. Those are changelings in the center, distracting me on the minimap. This trade agreement is quite an odd one, with the SCV's long-distance mining. Future still with plenty in the bank. Finally getting the Ghost Cloak. Really needs to shore up those armory upgrades as Scarlet continues to work on her air-ups and now getting +3 melee. Tactical Nidus, trying to intercept the army. Siege tanks, outflanked. Blinding Cloud, runs them over. And cleans up the front end. Deals with the siege tanks and the Liberators, and the Thors and Ghosts were distracted. Scarlet taking heavy losses, but Future also unable to find the decisive fight. Scarlet's lost 1,000 more gas, 2,000 more minerals. Not particularly terrible yet. But Thors and Ghosts are an army that can turn the tide here on Oceanborn and get Future on the board. What do we have? The Corruptors! Caustic Spray and Pray! Do what the Lurkers could not, just melt the planetary. And while Future takes out one of Scarlet's bases, she's got more where that came from and plenty of money in the bank. Still, though, this army is so incredibly hard to beat. Oh, my. 7 Liberators, 15 Ghosts, 6 Thors, 10 Siege Tanks, and don't forget the Vikings. And there's still a medevac somewhere. Oh, my. Not a single Marine or Marauder. Future's made the full switch to mech. Oh, but no scan. Could Neuroparasite a ghost and EMP the ghosts? That's the play! I mean, Fungal's also good, but I desperately want to see a ghost EMP by Zerg. Well, interesting. Decides to just auto-attack. Works out. Lingbane Hydra down the center. More orbital commands. Future down to 7. That number dripping, dipping, dripping. The Corruptors are dripping. The command center count is dipping. And the tide seems to be tipping. As Future just ran out of mining bases. Only has the north side, which is mining out. There's really no alternatives, and Scarlet has been continually grabbing the bases in the corners. Has more than enough to continue building hatcheries. Future has a lot of minerals, but is starting to run out of gas in the bank. And those ghosts have remained cloaked, running out of energy here. More infestors on the way. Zerglings, there's no planetary. Scarlet is dismantling the army. Looking for that finishing fight here. She's got 150 supplies. She's got plenty of larvae. Did she lose the Hydra den? No. Rebuilding all of the tech. She's fully prepared to base trade. She's rebuilding all her tech in the corner. She's actually expecting to base trade. Kill 60 SCVs. Future has less than he started with. And instead of taking a terrible fight and risking it against the Thors, Scarlet decides to just avoid it entirely. And Future, where is the army? Oh, multiple Niduses. Future caught kind of paralyzed by indecision. It's a very tough scenario where you have an army that can win the game, but again, Scarlet has managed to outmaneuver. Five hatcheries on the way. Why not? Brood War levels. Still has to beat the army though. 167 RB supply of about the strongest Terran units. The only saving grace is the lack of upgrades. Never got any of the plating. Didn't even get +3 mech weapons or ship weapons. So Future... We'll see what it comes down to. There's 27 ghosts. That's an incredibly spooky army. That's a lot of ghosts. The Liberators. The Infestors. Corruptors going to deal with it. The ghosts lining up shots. Scarlet, without that much money in the bank, she can't rebuild this whole army. The Thors are here. And those Infestors, they need a Neuroparasite. Maybe some Fungals onto the Ghost. Gets the front line. Grabs a Thor. Thors are a pretty good counter to Ghosts. And turns it all around. And now Scarlet's Thors crush through. Future just crumbling under the pressure. Putting up an incredible fight. Oh no. Oh, runs out of energy. Catches with the Fungal. Oh, what? Where was this? Oh, no. No, we're going back. Don't tell. It was intentionally in the main, right? Yes, okay. I thought it got stuck somehow. Like, no, it was intentionally rebuilt in the main while he was defending. This Liberator's still here somehow. So, even this army, that's enough ghosts. Like, Scarlet, oh, the Fungal is huge! But the ghosts aren't dead. Only thing is, there's no medevacs. How is this still? God, those ghosts. If there were a couple medevacs here, Why? What is this? Why are the infestors here? Scarlet wondering that as well. Those infestors need to be, like, not there. Scarlet still has 44 drones, but there aren't that many minerals left to mine. I thought the game ended, but Future had another army. That's what the rest of his 27 ghosts were. He still has 19 ghosts. 14 Brood Lords. Scarlet has exhausted the entirety of her bank. But the Brood Lords are in production. There's still 7 orbitals. So should be enough scans to keep tabs on things. Though one of them is currently burning. Another one is trying to get back home, but there still should be enough. Nidus, Network, and Worm. Scarlet, the Broods, the Lings, the Banes. Ghosts are really, really, really good. But I don't think they're that good. The scan. He's scanning for Brood infestors anywhere nearby. And if you have the orbitals, why not? Make no mistake, this army still has potential. But Scarlet now has everything she's gonna get. Has 7 infestors. Plenty of broods. I don't even know if there's an armory. Can't even go into Hellbatmo. Beautiful blinding clouds. The ghosts in full retreat. Actually get a volley of snipes off, but the banelings will crash through. The infestors will lock down, and Scarlet will knock out. Future. Clean sweep. 3-0 for Scarlet. And clearly, Scarlet with a more commanding understanding of Zerg versus Terran. Future with some creative builds and some surprisingly dangerous late game. But it just wasn't enough. A solid series out of Scarlet. An intimidating Zerg. And I think quite entertaining. So if you enjoyed, it'd be awesome if you could like, subscribe, and if you have the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon. That was a weird transition. Usually go the other way. If you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is free for now. Got it. All right. Well, thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.